Hello everybody, this is the mind of Lilith. I wanted to hop on here really quickly to talk about Stormie's mother's behavior. I believe her name is Miss Bettie. This is based on her antics on the most recent episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. And in this episode, Stormie's mother, Miss Bettie, and Stormy and her cousin and her aunt have a conversation about why Stormy fired her cousin after he failed to do his duties at the job she hired him at, okay? And Stormy said that her mother did not give her the opportunity to tell her aunt that her cousin had been dismissed from the job. And Stormy's cousin said that his aunt threatened to beat him up or whatever because he was playing with her daughter, Stormy. Stormy's mother acts like Stormy's cousin is not her nephew. And at some point during the argument, Stormy's mother brought up the fact that Stormy had paid $15,000 in bail to get her cousin out of jail. She said it was such hatred and vitriol as if Stormy's cousin is not her nephew. And Stormy said that the relationship between her mother and her aunt became more contentious when their father died and Stormy's mother was the primary caregiver during his last months of death. This is not uncommon in the Black community, in the Black family. When somebody dies, usually there's drama about who gets what, who took care of who. Past trauma that hasn't been resolved is brought up again and not to be resolved, but just used as a weapon to keep the tension and the animosity going. Like, this is not common. This is not uncommon. So Stormy's mother has some animosity apparently towards Stormy's aunt about the fact that she was the primary caregiver for their father when he was dying. But I think that the issues are deeper than that, because Stormy's aunt even mentioned that, you know, Stormy's mother's a devil. She seems like a bully. And Stormy's mother is supposed to be, or Miss Bettie, she's supposed to be the matriarch of the family at this point. She's supposed to be the leader of the head, especially if she's an older sister. She's an older sibling. And she's treating her nephew, who is Stormy's cousin, as if he's some sort of common criminal. And she's not appreciative or grateful or happy about the blessings that Stormy has in her life. Everybody is happy. Well, not happy. Everybody's healthy. Stormy has a beautiful, large estate. She's a millionaire. She has a beautiful son. She's happily married. Stormy has the resources to bail her cousin out of jail. Like, Stormy seems to be a generous person with her money. She doesn't seem to be someone who uses her money to look down on people, okay? And it seems as if Stormy's mother has a problem with her being generous towards her own nephew. And I mentioned months ago that Stormy's mother is a bitter woman who doesn't like anybody. So the fact that she doesn't like Melody is irrelevant. Her anger towards Melody is irrelevant because she doesn't like anybody, not even herself. So there's a commonality between Stormy's mother, Miss Bettie, Miss Wanda, and Gloria Scott's mother. I don't know her name. I forgot her name. I don't care. The common thread is they don't have no man, or they're in a dysfunctional relationship with a man who's with somebody else. What I've noticed in my years of life, okay, growing up, is that a lot of older Black women become bitter in their old age because they've put men on a pedestal their entire lives only to be left with nothing in their old age. I would not be surprised if Stormy's mother changed her disposition and her attitude towards other people and life in general if she had a man, okay? Or if her man started treating her right. A lot of these women who are pick-me's, who put men on a pedestal in their younger years only to be left single and alone and bitter in their old age, end up being battle axes in their families. Very destructive, very chaotic. They love dysfunction. Stormy's mother started laughing during the argument when her aunt brought up the fact that Stormy also was arrested and was in jail for 3 days for something that happened when she was 18, 19 years old. It wasn't a big deal. But Stormy's mother seems to thrive in chaos and drama. She does not want peace. Miss Wanda does not want peace. Gloria Scott's mother doesn't want peace. All these older women do not want peace. They are bitter. They're angry about the way that their life has turned out. In my mind, it is crazy for a woman to be on a beautiful estate with acres and acres of land that your daughter owns. She has disposable income. She is healthy. She is young. She's married. There's a grandbaby. Her life is working out really well, and she's generous with her resources. For the mother of this person who's successful to be so angry and bitter with her own family over what? Over what? The $15,000 that Stormy used to bail out her cousin was for her nephew. She wasn't giving it to some nigga on the corner in the street. It seems as if Stormy's mother is bitter about the fact that Stormy was able to help out her cousin, who's a man, because perhaps Stormy's mother never had a man take care of her. Based on the attitude I'm seeing, it was almost like she was jealous of her nephew for getting bailed up by his cousin. I do commend Stormy's cousin for not jumping into the nonsense and, amplifying things and making things worse. He and Stormy were trying to be the mature adults in the room and not allowing the baggage from their parents to disrupt their relationship, which happens a lot in the Black community. The main reason why the Black community is fractured is because of bitter old women and men who do not get along with their siblings and relatives because they want to hold on to old beefs for decades. This is one of the reasons why we can't come together. This is one of the reasons why there's so much animosity and tension in our families, and there's like a fractured identity among us. We have a fractured culture because we have enemies in our own families who do not want to see us thriving. Stormy's relationship with her aunt, to me, seems more endearing than her relationship with her mother. Stormy's aunt seems a more compassionate, patient, passive understanding than her own mother does. It seems as if Stormy's success has emboldened her mother into becoming a bully. It's almost as if, like with Latasha's mother, it's like, since my daughter is successful, that means I'm a good mother. So I can get away with doing anything and saying anything, because if it wasn't for me being who I was, she would not be successful. And I'm not saying that Stormy's mom is jealous of her, but there's something odd about you laughing about your daughter's tea being spilled about her criminal record. Why was that something to snicker about? Why were you laughing in that moment? She didn't smile any other time. Her face is tight and bitter and angry every time you see her, but she managed to smile when her daughter's business was spilled about her having a criminal record, which is not even a big deal. Stormy's mother did not want to keep the peace. She wanted to keep the drama going because that's what she feeds off of, because she's bitter. And she's probably bitter because she doesn't have a penis to put on a pedestal. And when a lot of these OG pick-me's don't have a penis to put on a pedestal, they punish everybody else for that. Now I'm going to make your life miserable because I don't have a man at home. I've sacrificed my youth and my beauty and my time for motherfuckers who ain't shit. So now I'm in my 50s, 60s, and 70s. Nobody want me anymore. And instead of being the peaceful, compassionate matriarch, I'm going to be a battle axe. I'm going to foster confusion, chaos, drama, and animosity between my daughter and her cousin, who is like a sibling for her. She is an only child. Stormy's an only child. So for Stormy's mother to try to create distance between her and her cousin brother is insane to me. This reminds me of Latasha Scott's mother trying to foster animosity between her and her sister. I think her name is Gloria. Latasha's mom's name is Gloria. Then there's Tamika and Latasha. Okay. So I would not be surprised if Stormy's mother, Miss Bettie, was doing the same thing that Miss Gloria was doing to Latasha and Tamika, creating division between the two sisters to be able to control one and use one against the other. As long as there's friction between the family members, I can control this person and get them to be my personal punching bag, my personal sounding board. I can control them better if they don't have a close relationship with anybody else in the family. And so when Stormy is being generous with her cousin by giving him a job and by, bailing him out of jail, right? Stormy's mother told Stormy not to hire him for work. Why would you not want your daughter to give your nephew an opportunity? Why are you acting like your nephew is some nigga on the corner who's trying to exploit his cousin, which may or may not be true. But why would you assume that out the gate? What happened in that family, or what did he do or while he was growing up to make you feel like he was the type of person who would exploit his cousin, who has been like a sister to him? I think Stormie's mother is projecting her feelings about her relationship with her sister onto Stormy and her cousin. It's like, because she doesn't trust her own sister, she does not want Stormy to trust her cousin either. And I'm not saying that he's not trustworthy, but again, she talks about him and she treats him as if he's some stranger, as if he's not family, right? And for her to say F her sister on national TV, she treats these people as if they're not her family. And she was like, sometimes, blood can't be thicker than water. It's okay to let people go. The fact that Stormie's aunt did not want to argue with Betty, Miss Bettie, to me means that she's the person who usually stands down and backs away and tries to keep the peace. But you can't try to keep the peace when you're around a bully, because when you try to keep the peace around a bully, you'll embolden that bully and you will make the bully feel validated or justified in their behavior. So because you're not fighting back against me, what I'm saying or doing against you is right. Stormie's mother was very relentless. She was determined to make her nephew look bad. She was determined to argue and create chaos and conflict and confusion in her daughter's beautiful home in order to maintain her. Why would you want to isolate your daughter who has no other siblings? You want to be the only person in her life to control her, right? That's how the game go. Because you can't control a penis, because you can't control your man, because you're by yourself now, because you're bitter, okay, and you're older. Now I need to live vicariously through my daughter by controlling her. This is why she creates conflict and beefs where there are none, because she wants an excuse to run to her daughter's defense. If you think about it, if Stormie's mother is single and she has no man, and her daughter is now living in a lap of luxury, comfortable, married, has a family of her own, Stormie's mother may feel useless. And so she's creating conflict and confusion in the family to make herself useful to her daughter, but in a destructive way, not constructively. And she's doing it in a destructive way because she's insecure. When someone's insecure, they can't be constructive. Things usually fall apart, and they usually allow their insecurities and their bitterness to destroy the relationships that they want to maintain, because again, the goal is control. The goal is to make sure I don't lose my daughter the same way I lost her father or the other men in my life. I bet you if Miss Stormie's mother had some new penis in her life, she would know how to behave. She would smile. I'm always fascinated when I see these older, angry, bitter women change on a dime when they are dating a new man. When a new man come in their life, they get attention, they get whatever. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to feel good when someone gives you attention, but you don't have permission to make everybody else's life miserable because you don't have a penis to worship. You don't have the right to make your daughter's relationship with her cousin estranged and tense because you want to have control over her. So I have no problem causing tension between you and your cousin as long as I'm comfortable, as long as I'm needed, as long as I feel powerful. So now Stormie's mother is acting like her bodyguard because she's afraid that Stormy will not need her anymore. So she's creating a need where there is none. Much like many people who feel the need to create drama around Melody so they can run to her defense when there's no need to do that because it wasn't that serious, right? So sometimes we as a people create problems for the individuals we say we care about because we don't want to lose control of them. We want to be the ones to put on our capes and save the people that we love. And so we end up making problems when there are none. It looks like Stormy and her cousin were mature enough to resolve the issue of him getting fired without their parents' input. It wasn't necessary. They're more mature than the adults. And this is Miss Bettie's fault. I think her name is Sister Bettie. What, she's in a church? Of course she's in a church. Of course the bitter old single black woman is in a church. Of course. Of course. Can't get any more stereotypical than that, right? You love God, but you don't love your own fucking family. You love God so much that you can't even appreciate the blessings that he's given your family. And you're still miserable and bitter and causing conflict and friction in the house of God, which is your daughter's house. The home or the estate that Stormy has is a blessing from God. Most definitely. She's extraordinarily blessed when it comes to resources and finances, having a husband and a child. She has a very blessed life. And her mother can't even appreciate that beyond her own bitterness and insecurity, which is why I said most of these motherfucking Christians ain't shit and they're fake as fuck. How are you still bitter, angry, and insecure with all these blessings that God has given you and your family? Yes, Stormy has worked hard too. She has earned all of this prosperity and good fortune in her life, and she's generous with it. What's the problem? Why are you still mad? How is Stormy's mother so stingy and selfish and bitter that she is upset with her daughter giving her nephew money? Stormy can afford it. It's not even her mother's money. Why are you angry about that? Now, I do remember seeing wedding rings on both Stormy's mother and her aunt's fingers. So you're married. You're a sister in the church. Your daughter's successful. You have a beautiful grandchild. She's married, everything, and you're still bitter. What's the problem? What's wrong? Your man cheating? He ain't treating you right? He got a 20-year-old side piece from the church that you guys go to? And, you know, I could be wrong about Stormy's mother not having a man. She could have a man. She could be married or whatever. But at the very least, I feel like she is trying to control Stormy by creating chaos in her life. First with Melody and now with her own cousin. It's not going to stop. She's a very destructive person. And again, if she's destructive and angry with all the blessings her daughter has, it's because she's a bitter woman. Why are you so bitter? I wonder why nobody ever asks or answers that question on these shows. Like, why are these women so bitter? Why are you so mad? What's the problem? What is the issue here? Why would you want to embarrass your nephew or your sister on TV? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to treat your nephew like he's some sort of criminal that doesn't deserve a second chance and he's just using his cousin and you're the only person who wants to love and protect your daughter? Why is that necessary? So again, I hope you guys now understand why I said several months ago that Stormy's opinions about Melody are irrelevant because she has an issue with everybody. She's the kind of person who enjoys not liking people. She's the kind of person who enjoys getting offended because that gives her an excuse to fight and have arguments with people. Okay? She doesn't want peace. She doesn't want to have harmony. She doesn't want to have a good conversation. She wants to argue and fight and get her bitterness out and not to resolve the conflict, but to keep it going. It's about keeping shit going, not solving problems. So nobody knows why Stormy's mother didn't like Melody before she even met her, right? The little social media spat between Melody and Stormy was just another justification for her not liking her in the first place. So it was what it was. Like, she doesn't want to solve any problems. Miss Vin is the only woman on this show, and even Martell's mother, who appears to want to solve problems, who appears to not want to feed into the drama among the cast. So, yeah, it would behoove everybody to not allow people like Miss Wanda and Miss Bettie and Martell to trigger them with their stupidity, because stupid people who are foolish and bitter and hateful will do dumb things. It is a waste of time and energy to even be surprised when people show you who they are over and over again. So, as I said months ago, it is a very good thing that Stormy's mother does not like Melody. It's a great thing because now Melody does not have to be in the vicinity or in the proximity of someone who is bitter, angry, and vile. Now Melody's life is simpler. Okay, same thing with Miss Wanda. I was saying that people need to deactivate their triggers around people like Miss Wanda because, they get off on getting you riled up and knocking you off your square and bring you down to your level. That's it. So all in all, to summarize this, I honestly think that Stormy's mother is manufacturing drama and conflict for her daughter to make herself useful to her daughter, to feel as if her daughter still needs her. This is her way of maintaining control over Stormy and not becoming obsolete in her daughter's life, right? Nobody wants to be discarded by their children, especially if they have no other children. Stormy is the only child. And if they're single or they're widowed or they're married, but their husband is with other women, Stormy's mother acts like she's the father and the mother to Stormy. So I'm assuming that she's not married or she's widowed or it is what it is. Okay. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.